Hey there, Eli here, and today I want to talk about movement skills in Path of Exile. There's a lot of different options, and only a few of them are really quite good. But it's important to know what your options are to understand why they're good and why we use them. First up, let's talk about Smoke Mine. Smoke Mine is this little guy right here. What you do is you toss out a mine, and then you hit D to detonate, which teleports you to that mine's location. This is particularly useful while leveling, and what you would do is you would combo this with another movement skill like Flame Dash, and so you would toss the mine, detonate, get your movement speed buff, and then as soon as you come out of that detonation, use your Flame Dash to move forward. You can also use Whirling Blades, or Leap Slam, or Shield Charge. The reason combining Smoke Mine in particular is so powerful is because a lot of movement skills, like Flame Dash for instance, have instant components to them. If you haven't cast them very recently, then they get an instantaneous component to themselves like this. See how that was? Doesn't matter what my cast speed is, this is instant, as long as I haven't recast it very soon before. And the exact number in seconds is affected by how much cast speed you have. I don't know what that calculation is, but essentially if you run for about 1.5 seconds, 1 second or so, you get the instant component back. And so why we would use this with Smoke Mine is we get to throw out the mine and then travel again. So we're essentially using two movement skills back to back. On top of that, the Smoke Mine gives us a little bit of extra movement speed. Now the only downside of Flame Dash is its potential distance that you travel. So if we come here, right on this square here, and we travel up along the line, you'll see we get about here right before this other square. There are ways to increase this range. If we go ahead and pop in Anomalous Flame Dash, gives us 20% increased travel distance. So we can socket that in and come back here to the square, and you'll see we get one more square further. Now we're sitting on that square that we couldn't get to. We were here before, now we're here. And if we really want to, we can come back here and toss Enhance, which will increase our travel distance by 44%. And this is the square we got to before, and now we can get a little bit past it. This becomes very powerful in boss fights like Uber Elder or the Maven, where you have specific areas that you really want to get to, and the arena is big enough that you could really use some more travel distance. We have another rather versatile movement skill in Lightning Warp, except it takes a fair bit of investment through faster casting and less duration. If you're playing a build that can afford the gem links of faster casting and less duration and efficacy on your Lightning Warp, or if you have a relatively high amount of increased cast rate, then Lightning Warp is going to feel better. Otherwise, I'd stick to Flame Dash. Lightning Warp also doesn't really pair well with Smoke Mine because there's no cooldown. Dash, like Flame Dash and Lightning Warp, aren't tied to a specific weapon type, so anyone can use it, and it can also traverse over materials, like this wall right here. And fun thing about it, if you use attack in place, which is left shift by default, and then cast Dash, you will move backwards. I find that Dash only really feels good when we have Second Wind socketed with it, because the cooldown is already naturally pretty quickly, and when you have 2 charges, you can essentially dash whenever you want. Now we also have access to Shield Charge and Whirling Blades and Leap Slam. These are all different movement skills that are tied to having a specific item in hand, so either a weapon of a certain type or having a shield. Leap Slam is the only one of these 3 that follows the instant cast delay, kind of like Flame Dash, so if I'm running around and I cast Leap Slam for a second, I won't have any startup frames. But if I cast it over and over, you'll see I pause for a moment and jump up first. Instead, if I wait for a second, it'll just be instant. And also, of these 3, only Leap Slam can jump over barriers like this. Whirling Blades gets blocked, and so does Shield Charge. So why would I want to use one of these 3 instead of, say, Flame Dash? Well, the perk that comes with these 3 melee type hits is that you can gain Fortify off of them, which is 25% less damage taken. And that's after all of your other defensive layers are calculated, so it's a fairly significant damage reduction. And with enough attack speed and or movement speed, they get moving pretty fast, so it feels quite good. Last on my list of what I would consider usable movement skills would be Blink Arrow if you're using a bow. This movement skill is quite strong, especially if you have Second Wind attached, which you should because it gives you the ability to target anywhere on the map regardless of distance, and with that second charge and increased cooldown recovery, you can also use that just like Dash, essentially whenever you need it. Now, two skills that are technically movement skills, but I wouldn't recommend you use them. Body Swap is more of a damaging teleport skill, and Frostblink, which really should only be used in that short time where you cannot buy Flame Dash or some other movement skill. So what are my top 3 picks for movement skills? I would say number 1, Flame Dash. Anomalous Flame Dash is even better with the increased distance, and if you want even more distance, throwing an Enhance on it is going to get you across the map in an instant. Second, I would say if you're using a bow, Blink Arrow is not a bad option, although on this bow character here, I do use Flame Dash and not Blink Arrow. And last, if you're melee and you want to get Fortify, Leap Slam, maybe Whirling Blades is alright. Otherwise, if you don't want Fortify, consider either using Dash or Flame Dash. And that's all I have for you in this video. Just a quick hit on movement skills that we have available to us, how to buff them up, and why we would use each one. Socials are linked below. I'll be streaming for the Ultimatum announcement on Thursday. And as always, if you like what you see, hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Until next time, this is Eli signing off.